States military into Venezuela last night to kidnap Maduro and his wife to somewhere. We don't know where they are. We don't know if they're alive. And now Trump has announced that the U.S. is going to temporarily take over control and operations of Venezuela.
White liberals in America are complaining about Nicolas Maduro while Venezolanos in Venezuela are out celebrating that their dictator is gone. If this doesn't tell you how evil and disturbed white liberals in America are, I don't know what will.
I love that the Dems were so upset that Trump sent Maryland Dad to Central America and demanded him back for due process. Now they're mad that we bring this guy here from Venezuela for due process. Shouldn't they be happy? We could send, but we're just doing due process, you know?
What happens when Donald J. Trump does the one thing Washington swore he would never actually do, and it blows up the entire political order overnight?
Por mí. Aquí no esperan Miraflores. No se tarde en llegar. Cobarde!
Because right now, Nicolas Maduro, the socialist dictator who ran Venezuela into the ground, is no longer hiding behind propaganda, rigged elections, or activist talking points. He is in New York City, in U.S. custody, facing real consequences.
This past weekend, colleagues, the United States successfully carried out a surgical law enforcement operation facilitated by the U.S. military against two indicted fugitives of American justice, narco-terrorist Nicolas Maduro and Celia Flores.
Now, here's the part nobody in Washington was prepared for. While politicians in the United States are melting down, demanding explanations and screaming, "This went too far," millions of Venezuelans are flooding the streets thanking Trump, chanting his name, waving American flags, celebrating something they were told would never happen.
I heard you're from Venezuela?
Yes, I'm come from Venezuela.
And you don't agree with any of these people here, right?
No, I'm not agree. I'm not agree with Trump because Trump helped to my country obtain libertad.
Now, if you've ever watched powerful people fail upward, if you've ever been told nothing ever changes, if you've ever felt like accountability is for everyone except the elites, well, this moment hits different because it's not just about Maduro. This is not just about Venezuela. It's also definitely not just about politics. This is about control. Who has it? Who just lost it? And why Democrats suddenly look like they have egg on their face right now. And when Trump says that the U.S. will temporarily run Venezuela, that is where the story goes from shocking to historic. Now, before we continue, today's video is sponsored by Noble Gold Investments. Now, stay with me because most people don't even realize what this really means until now. Now, the entire story pivots on one man and one decision: Donald J. Trump, acting as commander-in-chief, choosing to do what every administration before him talked about, delayed, or just flat out refused to do.
Quickly turn to Venezuela, where Maduro once again demonstrated his complete disregard for democratic norms and proceeded with his illegitimate inauguration. As President Biden emphasized during his meeting with President-elect Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia on Monday, January 6, we believe that it is essential that the will of the Venezuelan people is respected. In coordination with our partners, we've given Maduro and his representatives every opportunity to restore democracy, but they haven't. So today we are building on all of our previous actions and taking further major actions. We announced new sanctions on key Maduro-aligned officials as a part of our efforts to hold them accountable, and we imposed more visa restrictions totaling nearly 2,000 individuals. We also increased the reward amount to $25 million for Nicolas Maduro and his so-called Minister of Interior as part of the Department of State's Narcotics Rewards program.
He authorized the capture of Nicolas Maduro. Now, for decades, Venezuela was treated like a permanent tragedy, something that politicians could tweet about, fundraise over, and then forget. Trump didn't forget. He acted. And when that order went through, it instantly connected three places that would define the next political shockwave: Venezuela, New York City, and the United States itself. Now, here's the situation that nobody wants to admit. They didn't think he would actually do it. They assumed the threats were leveraged, the rhetoric was posturing, and the moment would simply pass. But instead, the system froze, and once the trigger was pulled, there was no rewinding it. So when Nicolas Maduro arrived in New York City, the political world quietly crossed a line that it had never crossed before. Now, this wasn't exile, this wasn't asylum, this wasn't another foreign leader living comfortably overseas. This was a sitting socialist dictator brought under U.S. control in the hands of the U.S. Department of Justice. justice. Now, that alone completely shattered decades of assumptions about what is allowed in global politics. And this is also why panic set in so fast in Washington. So Democrats demanded explanations, media figures asked who authorized this, activists screamed about precedent. But here's the uncomfortable reality. While they were arguing, the situation was already done. Maduro wasn't tweeting, he wasn't negotiating, he wasn't like spinning narratives. He was in custody, hands in cuffs. And once that visual settled in, the entire conversation shifted from will this happen to what do we do now? Because control has already changed hands. Now, what you're watching right now, this is exactly why this matters. Every January, people talk about new beginnings, new goals, new resolutions, but by January, 10th? Most of them are already gone. Here's the truth. Real stability doesn't come from hype. It comes from balance. Not just growth, but protection. This is where Noble Gold Investments comes in. Now, for more than a decade, Noble Gold has helped people add physical gold and silver to their portfolios, assets that don't vanish with political chaos, market swings, or economic shocks. And after watching how fast things can change, whether it's governments or markets or global stability, that kind of protection matters. Now, if this sounds complicated, it's not. It starts with a simple conversation about your goals. No pressure, no gimmicks, no sales tactics, no games. Just some clear answers and a strategy built around you. Now, make this the year you stop putting off your finances and start getting them in order. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. I left a link for you down below in the description of this video. Now, let's keep this going because what's happening in Venezuela next, this is where the story really explodes. So the moment Nicolas Maduro was removed, the narrative Washington expected to control collapsed because Venezuela spoke for itself, not through press releases, not through think tanks, through millions of people pouring into the streets. This was not staged. This wasn't filtered. This was real, raw relief. Crowds chanting Donald J. Trump's name, American flags waving next to Venezuelan flags, people crying, hugging, celebrating because for the first time in decades, something actually changed. Now, here's where the tension actually explodes. This lived reality directly contradicts the activist theory that's being pushed here in the United States. So while commentators frame the action as imperialism, Venezuelan framed it as liberation.
They're willing to allow an entire country to be exploited as long as it fits their political agenda and goes against Trump. Think about that. Nicolas Maduro publicly rigged elections, killed his own people, had actual re-education camps, made anybody who opposed him disappear. And this is who they're defending now. Believe me, I was worried when Trump said that the United States would oversee the transition of power in Venezuela. But here's a reality that no one wants to admit. Maduro didn't just destroy Venezuela. He destroyed the entire system of checks and balances. He replaced the courts, institutions, everything with loyalists.
And so while protests in American cities defended Maduro, the people who actually lived under him, they're thanking Trump openly. Now, this contrast is lethal to the media narrative because once viewers see who's celebrating and who's not celebrating, it becomes impossible to pretend that both sides are morally equal. So this is where the political panic truly sets in because once the images from Venezuela spread, Democrats realized that they were defending the wrong side publicly. Names mattered now, statements mattered now. And figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Elizabeth Warren doubled down anyway. They demanded explanations. They questioned legality. They warned about precedent. But notice what's missing here. Celebration for the Venezuelan people, relief, empathy, any acknowledgement that a dictator had actually been removed. Now, that contradiction didn't go unnoticed by their own base because when your message sounds more like a concern for a socialist strongman than relief for the millions freed from tyranny, people start asking some uncomfortable questions. Now, this is the moment that Democrats lost control, not because Trump outmessaged them, but because reality undercut their framing in real time. And when that happens, spin stops working. Now, once the images from Venezuela went viral, Republicans didn't need clever messaging. They had the receipts. GOP lawmakers pointed to one unavoidable fact. While Democrats were warning about norms, millions of Venezuelans were out in the streets celebrating the end of dictatorship. So this is where the phrase egg on their face stopped being a talking point and it actually became political reality. So by acting, Donald J. Trump forced a binary choice that Washington hates: dictatorship or liberation. Now, there is no third lane, no both sides, and that boxed Democrats in. Any attempt to try to criticize the operation sounded to average voters like sympathy for Nicolas Maduro. Now, Republicans leaned into the contrast. They didn't argue theory, they acknowledged outcomes. A dictator was gone, people were free, and the louder Democrats protested, the clearer that the divide became. I mean, there was no neutral ground anymore, and everyone could pretty much see it. One reason the usual comparisons collapsed so quickly is because the operation looked nothing like past disasters. I mean, look, the role of Delta Force was precise, controlled, and intentional. There was no shock and awe, no endless bombing, no civilian chaos broadcast on loop. This wasn't about spectacle, it was about removal. Ports were secured, routes were controlled, and the target was extracted. And most importantly, there were no confirmed civilian casualties tied to the operation itself. That single fact dismantled the reflexive "this is Iraq all over again" argument almost overnight. And so this is why critics struggled to gain traction. Their warnings depended on a bloodbath that never happened. Their predictions required chaos that never came. What unfolded instead was a quiet, decisive action that left Washington scrambling, just trying to catch up. Now, the tension here, this is rather simple, but it's powerful. When reality doesn't match the script loses authority. And this is exactly what just happened. So just when Washington thought the story couldn't get more volatile, Donald J. Trump, he made the statement that froze even some of his allies in place. The United States would temporarily run Venezuela during a transition period. Now, those words, safe, proper, and judicious, were not accidental. Trump wasn't talking about occupation. He was talking about preventing a power vacuum, because history shows what happens when dictators fall and nobody controls the transition. Chaos fills the gaps. Cartels rush in. Civilians pay the price. So at first, critics pounced. They heard "run Venezuela," and then they immediately reached for every failed foreign policy analogy that they had. But then the logic set in. Trump wasn't promising permanence. He was promising stability, a controlled handoff, no rushed elections, no backroom strongmen slipping back into power. This is when the tension shifted, because once you understand why he said it, the panic starts making sense for the people who benefit from disorder. Now, if Trump's statement was the shock, Marco Rubio, he just delivered the clarification that ultimately shocked the narrative into place. Now, Marco Rubio didn't hedge. He didn't soften the language. He basically declared plainly that Nicolas Maduro was not the legitimate leader of Venezuela. And then he went even further, labeling Maduro's regime as a narco-terror operation that was tied to drug trafficking networks harming the United States directly. Now, that reframed everything. This wasn't ideology. This wasn't regime change for optics. This was law enforcement at a global scale. So once Marco Rubio drew the line, the moral argument flipped. Defending Maduro now meant defending a cartel-backed dictator accused of poisoning American communities. Oh, and then suddenly, here it is. Here's the thing, guys. The question was no longer whether Trump went too far. It was why anyone had tolerated this situation for so long. So this is when the justification stopped being political and it started becoming unavoidable. So now let's go ahead and deal with the part that everyone whispers about but rarely says out loud. Yes, oil matters, sure. Venezuela sits on massive oil reserves. And Donald J. Trump has never pretended geopolitics is a charity operation. But here's where honesty changes the equation. Under Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela didn't just mismanage oil, it weaponized it. The regime aligned itself with Iran and Russia, inviting adversaries of the United States directly into the Western Hemisphere. Now, that wasn't theoretical, that was strategic. So, yes, oil is part of this. But ask the more important question here. Who benefits right now? Not corporations in Washington, but Venezuelans who finally see a future without cartel control. This is why viewers trust this moment. Nothing is hidden. The trade-offs are acknowledged, and the result is, so far, stability and not chaos. Now, one of the fastest, quietest consequences of Maduro's removal is something that Washington hates to talk about. Migration patterns began changing almost immediately. Now, for years, Venezuelan refugees poured into neighboring countries and the United States, fleeing these economic collapses that were taking place. So they're fleeing economic collapse and political repression. Now, that pressure strained borders, services, and communities. But once Nicolas Maduro was gone, and once Donald J. Trump committed to a controlled transition, the math flipped. Suddenly, people weren't asking how to escape, they were asking when they could return back home. Now, that possibility terrifies parts of Washington because it suggests something politically inconvenient, that removing a dictator near U.S. borders actually actually reduces migration pressure instead of increasing it. There are no slogans, no programs, just cause and effect that everyone can see. So this is the solution nobody wants to credit because it breaks the talking points on both sides. And yet, for families who want to go home, it changes everything. And so as the situation stabilized, the disconnect became impossible to hide. Legacy media outlets, they tried to frame chaos that wasn't even happening. There was no chaos happening. Panels debated hypotheticals while the facts on the ground refused to cooperate. And the problem wasn't lack of coverage. It was loss of control. In Venezuela, people were not panicking. They were celebrating. In New York City, Nicolas Maduro was in custody. And in the United States, Donald J. Trump wasn't walking anything back. This is why the coverage felt frantic. When a narrative depends on predicting disaster and disaster doesn't arrive, the audience notices. Viewers saw anchors talk past video evidence, activists talk past Venezuelan voices, and analysts talk past the outcomes. So it kind of felt like watching a curtain fall in real time. And once the trust breaks, it doesn't come back easily. And that's the quiet shift that's happening right now. So what does this actually mean beyond the headlines, right? It means presidency willing to act, not posture. It means Donald J. Trump changed the cost of tyranny near U.S. borders. And it also means elites who assumed accountability was optional are suddenly recalculating. Now, this is not just about Venezuela. This is about deterrence. It's about whether dictators believe that the United States will enforce its red lines, or are we just going to tweet about them? And judging by the reaction, the answer just shocked a whole lot of powerful people. Millions of people celebrated in the streets. Washington panicked, and the people who were told that this could never happen, they just watched it unfold anyway. So here's a real question, and I want you to think about this. If this was possible now, what else have we been told is impossible? Simply because the wrong people were in charge? Well, let me know your thoughts, guys. Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, share this video. We'll see you next time.